Tonight, there's a new boss at Minnesota's Best Buy.
Yes, and for the first time, the CEO is a woman. Corey Berry was born and raised in Cambridge, Minnesota. As the electronic company's former CFO, she brings decades of experience to her new job.
Had time to spend in retail, in the field, working with, GMs and leaders in the stores, all the way to spending time with our analysts and investors and understanding what their questions are about the future of the company. So every chance I had, I genuinely tried to broaden out my skill set. Again, not because I thought it would end in CEO, but because I'm, one, naturally curious. I just like new things.
Over the last 20 years, Berry built a foundation of business skills at Best Buy. She is also the mother of a 9- and 12-year-old, which she says is a full-time job in itself. Berry credits her education at the College of St. Benedict for giving her the basics needed to succeed at Best Buy. She is not focused on being a female leader, but on becoming the best CEO the company has ever had. And taking over the reins, Berry becomes the 34th woman currently running a Fortune 500 company.
That's a new record. So why are there so few female CEOs? Good question. Heather Brown looks at the history and what's changing.
If you had to guess, how many Fortune 500 CEOs are women?
I would say 30%.
Maybe 20.
Close, 7%. 7%.
7? You're kidding.
No, I'm serious.
Okay, that's not very many.
But it's more than it used to be. 20 years ago, there were 2 female Fortune 500 CEOs, the head of Golden West Financial and the head of Mattel.
I think it's amazingly low, and I'm always shocked by it.
Pat Hedberg teaches leadership at the University of St. Thomas.
People want to see someone like them succeed and do well in an organization. That's one reason it matters.
She says
we do have a long way to go.
But some things have changed.
Organizations have realized that it's important to have women in leadership roles.
There are more women on corporate boards and in grad school, as well as more deliberate mentoring.
These people represent the workforce. Representation does matter.
That just lets the world know that, we're capable of doing the same thing as men.
About a quarter of all chief executives in the U.S. are women. The first was Anna Bissell. When her husband died in 1889, she took over the vacuum company. The first to head a Fortune 500 company, Katharine Graham of the Washington Post in 1972. And the first Fortune 500 transition from female to female CEO was 2009, when Ursula Burns took over from Ann Mulcahy at Xerox. Burns was also the first African-American woman to lead a Fortune 500 company. Now the only woman of color on that list is Joey Watt, head of Yum China.
It's just even a harder barrier for them.
It's time to let it happen, It's not always about a man's world.
Maybe the answer is that we could do a much better job of developing younger women and women earlier in their careers to aspire to those roles.
But hopefully, with time we can fix that and make sure that the best people are always the ones getting the right jobs.
Heather Brown, WCCO 4 News.
Of the 24 Fortune 500 companies in Minnesota, 3 are now headed by women: Best Buy, Land O'Lakes, and Thrivent.
Only Texas and California have more women running the biggest companies. If you have a good question for Heather, please email it by going to WCCO.com/links.